engagement has been critical to any success that I've seen in the schools here. And I think that there are three things that I found has been really important. One is consistent communication. And part of that is not just consistent, but communicate to people in the way they want to be spoken. Multilingual conversations. Making sure that you are doing both written and online communications. Not everybody has access to a computer. You've also got to listen. What I've found is that when you listen to parents and you act on what it is that they want, they start coming back and talking more. And not just asking for stuff, but then asking how they can help. And you will find that engagement is infectious. The other thing that we need to do is also listen, because when I go to LCAP sessions and I hear what parents want at Bayside MLK, most of it is, why doesn't the principal talk to us? Why don't the teachers talk to us? These are not expensive things, this is communication. And we've seen it already in the last year and a half with the new head of school and the new engagement with the parents, increased communication, and that's going to be paying off.
Am I using this mic or that one? All right, I'll start here. Look, engaging parents is sometimes difficult. Parents work a lot of jobs. Parents have sometimes issues in the home. Some children are not even being raised by their parents. So it can be a difficult challenge. I'm a huge proponent of this community school model, and I don't know that it's been defined for most of you. A community school model I got exposed to through studying something called collective impact that was written up at Stanford. It talked about multiple agencies working together around a common set of goals. And a lot of collective impact initiatives around the country center around education. And they hang their common set of goals around how kids are progressing, in early childhood education, in elementary education, high school and beyond, cradle to career. So in order to do that, you can bring resources together where you're helping the entire household. You're helping with English language, you're helping with career issues, you're helping with substance abuse issues, you're helping with physical and mental health. You can bring all these together in a set of wraparound services. That engages parents. It's not limited to community schools. Social events, frankly, bring all families into one school setting, and having opportunities for all families to interact and breaking down the barriers between schools. I could go on, but I don't have time.
This is something that I'm personally very passionate about, and with my co-president of the Parent Council partner, Willow Creek, Heidi, we've talked a lot about over the last couple of years how can we continue to reach different groups of parents that we haven't traditionally had come to meetings. And we've done some really great things. We've created an educational series that engage parents in the learning programs and the curriculums, and just really provided information on a relatable level, and made parents feel more comfortable with what was going on at the school. I think we can never do enough of that. We've also created various positions to reach out to certain groups. So there's a group of parents who are supporting with multi-language translations in the classroom. We have, at Willow Creek, there are 32 languages spoken in the home, and that's a real need in our school. And I would continue to want to look at Bayside MLK and Willow Creek's communities and do more and more of those things. And I think it really starts with understanding those groups, what are their needs, and how do you make them comfortable, and then coming up with multiple modes of communication and meeting formats so that you can be there in very different ways for everyone to have an opportunity to connect with one another and with the school.
So for most of our parents, all they can do is just get their kids to school. They're multiple things that contribute to that. Some parents have 2 or 3 jobs. Some parents are, just doing the best that they can. But over the years, parents in the Bayside Martin Luther King Junior Academy school have just, they have felt like, why do I need to even begin to be a part of a system when we were standing up and we were wanting to do things and we were asking for our voices to be heard and they were silent. So how do I become involved and re-involved when my voice was silent? And so now, as I'm out in the neighborhoods and talking to parents and encouraging parents and telling parents, this is your time to come and to be a part of your child's future. You need to have your voice heard. You need to be able to know that you matter. And so, in fact, there's a parent in here tonight that I had been talking to and running for the school board. And I'm hoping that more parents will step up. But right now, they're feeling a little silent.
So I think community school is an incredibly important way to engage parents, to actually meet them where they need to be and to address their concerns, their issues. Ida's right, there for many parents and grandparents and other people who are taking care of their kids who are responsible, it is all they can do to get their kids to school, and that is incredibly important. The other reality is that when if we do not have Ida times green on this board, we will have nobody who looks like a lot of the kids in this district and a lot of the parents in this district. And I will tell you that I know that for me, if I go into a meeting and I'm the only woman and I'm in a thing where it's only guys, I start shutting down. I start going, well, they don't care about me. They don't understand where I'm going to. Even if we are wonderful, caring, fabulous people, we need to have representation that looks like us. We need to have more diversity. And it is really hard for people to just say, yes, I want to go out when I don't see anybody who looks like me in these meetings. The other thing is we don't have any, I'm sorry, Josh, but you've been on the board for 6 years, and I feel like we haven't had committees, we haven't had opportunities for people to come together to start having dialogues and to work through some of these issues, because as you say, these will take a lot of communication and moving forward.
What was the question?
No, you already started. Our next question will start with Nathan.
Slightly next, Alexis.
Yeah, thank you. The question is, and again, a few people have submitted this question or one similar. Does the high needs child at Bayside MLK deserve more resources than the high needs child at Willow Creek, or vice versa? Nathan?
I think when you're assessing a high needs child, you need to assess the need and the environment in which that need can be best served. And the money is secondary. And that's something that doesn't matter where you go to school. And I think the challenge in our district is that the divide between the schools is mirroring the divide between communities. And with two very strong, very opposing voices, that middle ground gets lost in the noise. And the middle ground is where a lot of kids are getting left behind. And so you have these questions that apparently have been repeated by many people in the audience. Does a high needs kid at one school deserve different treatment than a high needs kid at another? And the answer is no. When that becomes the topic repeated often, you have a sign of a dysfunctional district. We're leaving kids behind because we're more in tune with the argument than we are with the outcomes. So when the money hits the table, there's all this argument about resources over here and resources over there. And that's why I do think that co-locating our campuses so that we can put the best resources towards the best students that need them in one place is a very good idea. Whether or not that is a single school or multiple programs is what can be worked out over time, as long as we have a diversity of opinions to have that debate. But the debate over is money A allocated to kid A, or is money B allocated to kid B, is silly. It's supposed to be secondary to what's most important and most valuable for all of our kids.
Yeah, I think the clear answer is that we should be funding and supporting students based on need, not based on school. And that is the clear goal that Jen, Josh, and I believe in. Surprisingly, is not universally accepted in this district and in this community. We've been to board meetings over the last couple of years. But I think it's really important for us to focus on what are the needs of those students. And first off, the great thing is the state already dictates you must put the money based on need. Funding formulas tell you that's why on a per student basis, Bayside does get more funding per student than Willow Creek, on average, and it should. It's a higher percentage of low-income and English learners here at Bayside than at Willow Creek. But Willow Creek actually has more low-income and English learners, which is why the overall state funding on a per student, overall, is at Willow Creek. So the way it works today is about just under half goes to Willow Creek today, just over half the funding goes to Bayside MLK. The question is not where the funding goes, the question is how we spend it and how we spend it intelligently together. And that's what we've got to work on, is how we work this together.
I got a toy here. Okay. Is it working? Okay. I find this question ridiculous on its face. Money follows need. I mean, it doesn't matter what school the kid's going to. Money follows need. The state tells us it follows need. Common sense tells us it follows need. What shocks me is that not everybody believes this. I alluded to it earlier, and the 90 seconds is short, so I'm going to repeat it. We have people that currently sit on our board. We have very involved community members that have been endorsing sitting board members and candidates. And I know there's other endorsements out there, but these are important local endorsements with a lot of influence that believe an elected district board should be allocating all its discretion towards the traditional public school, allocating no additional resource to a charter and maximizing the charges to a charter. We hold a governance workshop on this, even defining who are our students. What is our responsibility? The current board could not agree on. Our budget reflects this divided philosophy. It makes no sense. Money follows need. We're responsible for our entire community.
I agree. I can't imagine that the same student, let's say it's the exact same student. I'm a student, I'm at Bayside MLK one day, I then decide to go to Willow Creek Academy the next. Am I less deserving of funding because I moved from one school to another school? Absolutely not. And that doesn't make any sense. It's part of the confusing aspect of this district situation that got me engaged 3 years ago, and really trying to understand how could that possibly be a one thing. I just really didn't understand it. I think, again, one of the great benefits of pooling and coming together as one community and pooling our resources, our community energy, our financial resources, and focus in one school with all of the kids that have the most need getting the proper attention that they deserve, without that issue of what school they go to being part of the equation, is really what I think is best for our community. I fully believe that, and I really hope that we move forward with that discussion and exploration.
So the answer to the question is no. Children with needs, specifically those who have the highest challenges, should absolutely have the financial support. So that's an easy answer to this question, no. And the reason why we're top-heavy at our charter school is because we decimated programs here at the local school. At the traditional public school, programs were decimated. Of course, when you have one teacher in your middle school, are you going to stick around? I don't think so. For every grade level, there's 2 classes at the charter school. And so the person that has been alluded to in terms of saying that extra money should not be allocated to the charter school, wanted to just ensure that there were some rich programs in place at the public school before we even had that conversation. And in fact of the matter, we haven't even had the conversation on negotiating an MOU that expires. And so the poor and the disenfranchised will always be amongst us. How we take care of them, our responsibility. Yes, it's the love of money that can be the root of all kinds of evil. We don't need to be lovers of money, but we need to take care of our children.
I totally agree. I don't think there should be a difference in the resources between the schools for kids of high need. I think that there are some ways that we can address this that don't have to deal with money. I mean, we have 500 kids. We are a really wealthy district. We have incredible resources, and I think we need to start working together and looking at ways to provide all kinds of services for these kids. And we already have a wonderful model where there's 2 kids who are here at the Bayside MLK facility who go over to Willow Creek for their math classes because that meets their needs more effectively. That doesn't take any structural change. It doesn't need anything, doesn't need more money. It just needs people coming together and figuring out how to provide those services most effectively for those kids. With 500 kids, you're right, Jim, we can be spending time working on individual plans that actually meet their needs. And it doesn't need a structural change. It needs people talking together and working together and not having this kind of divisiveness. And so that would be my goal, is to say, how are we going to actually help the kids that we're talking about? And how do we use these amazing resources? Those people, like Nathan and others, who've tutored and who come here every day. I have been shocked and amazed at the wonderful resources of people who donate their time every day to these schools.
The money should follow the students' need. Going through the public school system in California was miserable for me. I mean, it's miserable. People are being just spammed through our school system. Children with needs like dyslexia, autism, mild retardations are not being identified. What really breaks my heart is the kids whose fathers are in prison, the 3rd largest prison system in the world. And to have a father in prison, that child needs special attention. And that money should go to that school, to those children, single parents. I mean, it breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart when I see, how big our prison system is, our justice system, our court system, our fat judges playing golf, being on their yachts, working half the day, condemning people, when that money should be going to the children of those prisoners. God bless you.
Thank you. I think you have the best microphone. So, with your indulgence, I will try to speak so that everyone can hear. The last question, or not the next question. Louder, please. The next question we'll start with her. And the question is, the concept of a slate has come under some criticism in the community. Please explain why slates are important.
So the question was about slates and why slates are important. I actually don't think slates are important. I think what's important in this election is that we get a functioning board. And so I think in this situation, what we need is we need a team that can work together, that has a shared understanding of what the goals of a board are, that it has a shared belief that we need to support all students based on need, regardless of school, and not say to first take care of this school before we take care of another school. And I also think we need diverse opinions and thoughts. And that's why I decided to team up with Josh and Jen. We have extremely different backgrounds. We have different work experiences. We have different perspectives, but we have a willing to listen. We have a willingness to learn. And we all want to focus on problem solving and stop focusing on the noise. And I think, finally, we all not only have diverse experiences, but we have a lot of experience. I've got 10 years of dealing with public school budgets, of working with teachers on professional development, working with school leaders, and growing a school from literally 100 students to over 400 students. It takes a lot of work, and the experience helps.
I love this question. The reason I love this question is I had a lot of people asking me, are you going to run for re-election? And I really had to think long and hard about it. Because sitting on a board that's dysfunctional is painful. Sitting on a board that's down to 3 members voting, as I can attest to, is painful. You need 3 people and 5-person board to vote for anything. And when you need unanimity, and you have people with polar different philosophies on the law, on how money should flow, on any number of topics, you're paralyzed. It became very clear to me that in order for this board to be effective, you needed to bring people together with a shared vision. Any functioning board has to create a shared vision. That work doesn't have to restart every 2 years with new, fresh faces, people who aren't really up to speed. It can start with people who have gotten together, talked a lot, worked together for years, and come with a common vision to help everybody. We're running as a slate for convenience. We're really running as a team, because we're going to work as a team on this board for the betterment of the district. And if you think mixing it up and electing a little bit from that team and a little bit from this team is going to result in a functional board, you're not doing the math right.
Over the 3 years that I've been attending nearly all of the district meetings, I've gotten to know Josh. We were neighbors. I didn't know him before, but I struck up a relationship with him through this. And asked him what his plans were. Would he run again? And I thanked him for being usually the only person that as a decision was passed in front of the board, and the board was asked, and does anyone have any questions? Josh was the one person, board member, no questions. Josh would say, okay, I have a few. And he would go question by question by question. He would not let anything be passed until it was fully examined and made sure that it was actually the right thing to do for our children, that it was a smart spending opportunity. And I would talk to him after those meetings and thank him for doing that. Thank him for being there night after night, till 9, 10 p.m., maybe even later sometimes. And one day he asked, well, what did I think about running for the board? I've been very involved. I've got a lot of experience. I've got a lot of knowledge. I've engaged the community on a broad level. And I said, yes, absolutely. I will join you. I cannot see you up there by yourself any longer. And it is critical that we have 3 people who are willing to work together to make change in this district. And Josh, Kurt, and I are agreed to do that together as a team.
So I remember in 1972 when my mother decided to run for the school board. And I don't think the term or word slate was ever, I think it's like most recent, quite frankly. And so when I think about it, I was saying to myself, as Josh as well, do I even really consider running for the board? Because this is my first election. I was appointed in 2014. It was not a contested race, so I was appointed. And I took a lot of time to make the decision after speaking with my husband. Do I even, do this, do the work, put my hat in the ring? And I decided to do so. And I decided it was beneficial for me to partner with Bonnie. And the reason being, first of all, neither Bonnie or I have children in the district. And so that preconceived biases, I think, kind of dissipate in itself. But coupled with that, we have been doing social justice work for a long time, and I don't think that is going to end.
I chose to run with Ida because I have so much respect for her. I have enormous respect for her as a social worker working in this community every day with kids. And I've known her. I had the honor of working on her mom's campaign many years ago. I just always knew Ida was going to be the star. I believe that it's really important to have diversity on the board. I am willing to work with whoever gets elected to this board. Because you know what? We have to work together. And you may have issues with Deborah, you gotta work with everybody. And that is what a board does. I have served on many boards, I have staffed many boards. You talk to people, you work issues through, you hear from people, you get different feedback, because guess what? 3 people banding together. I know that you say you want to hear from people, but that doesn't really sound like you're going to open it up to the community to come up with a real community solution. I thought it would be helpful. I'm a Sausalito resident. I go to church here in Marin City and I teach Sunday school. I thought it'd be great to have a legal perspective. I think you need a lawyer on this board. I really do, given all the things that are going on. But I think having a lawyer, having a social worker, having somebody who just works intensively, grew up here in Marin City, and then having somebody who has a lot of experience in Marin and with communities, but comes to this with kind of a fresh perspective. I want to be a counselor at law. I want to bring people together. I want to just help have a fresh way of looking at things, and I do think a variety of perspectives is really helpful.